Hello, my name is Matt Blair and welcome to another episode of Popcorn and Wine, a show where I talk to fellow film enthusiasts and comedians about their favourite films and other movie-related nonsense. Before we start, I just wanted to say a big thank you to everyone who's been sharing the videos in the series so far. Please tell all your friends, share it round, retweet it when you see it, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel too. Also, if you like what you see, please support the channel further. You can do that by donating to the coffee link that will be in the description below. Basically, if you buy me a coffee, all the money from that goes towards making this channel better for everyone. And that's enough housekeeping for now. Let's get on with the episode proper, with Pippa Evans. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Popcorn and Wine. With me today, comedian, West End star, Pippa Evans.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
We got you a Malbec on your request.
I love Malbec.
So, cheers.
Cheers. It reminds me of Christmas.
Oh, it's lovely.
Oh, that is nice.
Pippa's chosen subject. It's actually a really fun one. What have you chosen for us?
I've chosen Ghostbusters. Well, for me, it's not a trilogy, but we'll get into that. But
it's a saga.
1 and 2, and then 3. But they don't even call it 3, do they? Just call it Ghostbusters.
It's a reboot.
So the Ghostbusters collection, shall we say?
Yeah, we can say that. You hadn't seen it until we were going to do this episode.
No, I paid £9.99 for the privilege of watching the third. But at your suggestion, that we could talk about it, because I am a mega fan of the 80s films.
Yep.
I love the comedy. I love the acting. I think they're the best written sort of comedy sci-fi films.
Yeah. One of the first of its kind.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
And I think that's why they sort of stand the test of time so much.
Very much so. It's playing it straight. That's the important thing. And they do kind of play it straight throughout the whole saga, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's no question in it about the science. So the whole way through they're playing it like, no, this is the real ghost science. There just happens to be some jokes thrown in, but there's no sort of winking to the camera going, yeah, people who believe in ghosts are idiots, aren't they?
Yeah, it's full of what Star Trek fans would call technobabble.
Could be on the verge of a fourfold cross rip, a PKE surge of incredible, even dangerous proportions.
When I had my GCSE geography exam, there was a question about how you measure earthquakes, and I couldn't remember, and so I said a Geiger meter, which we all know is a funny Ghostbusters reference. I don't think that was the right answer, but I was impressed that I knew the answer to a different question.
Yes.
And it sounded sciencey.
What's your history on knowing about the creation of Ghostbusters? Do you know much about that? Like how it came to be?
I just literally love watching Ghostbusters 1 and 2. I have the DVD box. And
you don't have it on Blu-ray?
No, who has Blu-ray? Come on now, guys. We don't all have money to throw away. What I love is the comedy of it. And I also think that it's such strong all the characters have strong identities. So whilst it's a gang, that's a gang show, essentially. But we know each of the 4 Ghostbusters. Apart from maybe Winston, we don't know Winston quite so well.
There was actually, we'll get into that later, there was a lot about Winston that was supposed to be that never was.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a lot. For instance, and this is the 3rd episode in which this has happened, it was supposed to be Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy was supposed to do a lot of things in the 80s.
He really was, because we mentioned Eddie Murphy was supposed to be Robin in Batman. Eddie Murphy was supposed to be in Star Trek 4 when they go back in time and go to the 80s then.
Oh.
So Eddie Murphy really was a hot property.
What are you talking about? I'm spoiling myself right.
The history of Ghostbusters obviously starts with Saturday Night Live.
Yeah. Well, I know that John Belushi was supposed to play Bill Murray's character, and actually how different that would have been, because obviously Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi were such great friends.
Yeah.
John Belushi was a troubled soul.
The whole movie was supposed to be different, though. It wasn't a comedy at first.
Really?
It was called The Ghost Smashers.
Oh.
Was the first script. It was more horror. It was certainly more scary. John Belushi died, sadly. Then Ivan Reitman came on and went, look, the script you've written is quite good, but it's not financially doable. So they took 2 weeks, and Harold Ramis and Dan Aykroyd went to Martha's Vineyard, like an old bomb shelter in Martha's Vineyard, and just rewrote the whole script in 2 weeks.
Oh, that's so interesting.
And then turned it into what we know today.
And do you think that's because Dan Aykroyd was a bit of a wanker, I think, at that time, and had that kind of comedy thing of like, yeah, I'm good at comedy, but actually, what I really want to do, you know, that kind of edge. And so, because they were like, John Belushi went through this phase of trying to be a real actor, which was a complete mistake because he was a really funny comedy actor. But it's like when people go, you know, like when people go, well, you're very good at, I don't know, playing the guitar, say.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to play the guitar, I want to play the piano. But you're really good at playing the guitar. Yeah. So John Belushi should have been just doing comedy films. Instead, he did some absolutely horrific films where he plays the romantic lead, and you're just going, no one's going to fall in love with John Belushi.
I think there was a bit of an issue because in the 70s there was a TV show called The Ghostbusters.
Was there?
Yeah. And
I feel like I've come here for an education.
Yeah,
that's great.
Good. I think that's why we're all here.
Yeah.
It was a slapstick children's TV show, and it had like 2 paranormal activity people, and they had a gorilla as like a mascot.
Okay.
Like John Candy was supposed to be the Rick Moranis part.
Which is amazing. I did know that. And just again, like, I love that idea of kind of sliding doors, isn't it? It's like, what would it have been like with John Candy? It would still been funny, but it would not have been what Rick Moranis brought.
Well, the original way that character was written, he was supposed to be a conservative man. And then Rick Moranis is in and probably couldn't do that as confident as John Candy could have, so played him as a geek instead.
Hey, this is real smoked salmon from Nova Scotia, Canada, $24.95 a pound. It only cost me $14.12 after tax, though.
If anything, I think Rick Moranis in Ghostbusters is early Steve Carell in The Office, in the American Office.
Bang on. I mean, you are bang on with that.
He's the guy that wants to be friends with everyone and is doing everything right. I love it when he says he's invited all of his accountancy clients so that he can tax write off his Christmas party. I think just little touches like that are great.
Sigourney Weaver was not known for doing comedy at the time. She was a very straight actress.
I think she's incredible in that film. I love that transformation when she turns into the gatekeeper. Because then the implication there is that Rick Moranis does get to have sex. So Lewis does get to have sex with Dana.
Yeah, he does.
And so, they
don't make a big thing of it, but they do. So wait, does that mean that Lewis Tully might potentially be Oscar's father?
Oh my God!
We've just had a revelation.
Imagine if that's true! In this imaginary world that's not real. I also love the fake adverts she watches. Well, it's not fake, it's a real advert, but it's such a great parody of those kind of adverts.
That advert, they actually changed them, because on the number, as with all movies, it has the 555 number.
Yeah.
But for a short time, they did actually have a 1-800 number that called that advert, and it would like cut to, you'd listen to either Dan Aykroyd or Bill Murray say, oh, sorry, we're out catching ghosts at the moment, but if you want to like leave a message. It was sort of an early example of like viral marketing.
Tango did something similar in the 90s when Tango brought out Flat Tango, I don't know if you remember this, and they had a TV campaign, and it was, some people had been selling Flat Tango, and it's really not okay, you know, we haven't licensed this product, so they had a telephone number, I must have been about 10 or something. So I called it up, and it just went, "You've been tangoed!" My favourite trivia is about how they got the eggs to pop.
Oh, right, okay.
Again, as a kid, I was watching that film going, how have they done this? This is just...
It's magic.
Like, it looks so scary. You can imagine just how scary that would be. That did actually happen once in my house when we had some eggs given to us by a friend who's got chickens, because that's the kind of people I know. And Callum, my husband, was sat in the front room, and he suddenly just heard this bang, and he went in the kitchen, and the eggs were rotten and they'd all exploded.
Oh, wow.
And a green slime. It was the most disgusting smell you've ever smelled in your life.
I've smelt rotten eggs. I remember cooking once. I
no!
put the pan on, I went crack, and I went, oh, that's quite watery. And the yolk was black, and the smell...
I feel sick just you talking about it.
It was the worst. I mean, in some ways I'm glad it happened, just to have experienced it.
Yeah. The way they did it was they put a hot plate underneath it, so they put the eggs on, and the eggs are just on it, and they're just heating them up. That's all they're doing. It's just heating up eggs. That's all they're doing. Why is that so amazing? It is amazing. If someone had to go, the way we're going to get a box of eggs to explode is to heat them gently from below.
It's simple stuff.
It's simple.
The visual effects were something incredible in that film, like for the era as well. Like just even Slimer, for instance.
Yeah.
The effects on Slimer for the time is amazing.
Yeah.
And you obviously know who Slimer's supposed to be based on, don't you?
Who's Slimer supposed to be based on?
John Belushi.
Is it?
Yeah.
Why didn't I know that?
I'm sure you should have.
I should have known that. Should have been my John Belushi fact sheet.
I think it was on set. Dan Aykroyd would refer to him as John and like talk to him as if he was John. Which is kind of sad and
I'm still not impressed by that, only because I think if I died and then they were like, I refer to this hideous creature that never stops eating.
You don't have love for
people.
Slimer?
No, I don't really have love for Slimer, no.
No affection
it's a
for him?
horrible character, really.
But did the cartoons not make you think he was...
the cartoons were great,
Yeah.
and he was... but he's a different character in the cartoons.
Yeah,
He's a very different character. In the film, he is just a nasty, slimy thing that steals food from people. That's all he is.
He gets a bit redeemed in the second one, though, because he's helping in the second one.
Vaguely.
He drives a bus.
Sure. Did anyone ask him to drive the bus is the question.
Hey, Lewis took that bus. Lewis Tully, he took that bus.
He didn't want to, though, did he? He didn't have a choice. The bus arrives, Slimer's in the seat.
There's an online theory, because he says, I didn't know you had your licence.
Yeah.
And people are like, well, obviously, when he was alive, he was a bus driver.
That's great. I love it when we... That's what I love about stories is when when you're writing and stuff, you do spend so long going, well, I'm going to make sure that makes sense and make sure that links to that.
Yeah.
No, audiences make those connections for you.
Yeah.
I love that someone would go, clearly.
Clearly, yeah.
Clearly. I love in number 2 when Lewis, just before that, when Janine zips him into the goat. I think that is one of the funniest, serious moments of the film.
Oh,
just
yeah.
that real belief that Lewis has at that moment that he's going to sort it out.
See, were you not a little upset because they were hinting in the first one that Janine and Egon were going to be a bit of an item?
Oh no, I think that was unrequited, and that's why I liked it. It was just Janine like snuggling up to him, and I'm so scared. Where it's just like, she's like, oh no, and she sort of snuggles up to him. He never reciprocates.
There's a deleted scene.
Where they have wild sex, which I would never wish to see.
There's a deleted scene where before they go to do the final battle at the Dana's apartment in the first Ghostbusters, Janine like gives him like a lucky coin or something, and is a lot more showing in her affection towards him.
It's my lucky coin.
I shouldn't take it. We might not be coming back.
Take it anyway. I got another one at home.
He's like a serious Postman Pat, isn't he? And it's like,
he does look like Postman Pat.
He's like Postman Pat, got a degree, and decided, I'm leaving the post office behind.
Wow.
I'm moving into ghostbusting.
Unfortunately, Ghostbusters 2 gets a bit of a bad rap.
But why?
Because it does retread a lot of what the first one does. You get a film which essentially strips them back to exactly what they were before, and then start again, and then they have to go and convince the mayor again, and there's another person and it just becomes a bit of a retread. This is what is a big problem with the next Jurassic World as well, is you spend this entire first movie getting these two people together, and then when the next movie begins, they're already apart, and we're trying to get them back together again, and that's what's happening with Dana and Venkman again, is that they're broken up and they reconnect, and it's all about him wooing her all over again.
Which is interesting that it gets a bad rap, because that is what life is. Like, life is cyclical. So there's... Like,
but movies aren't life.
But they are. They're a reflection of life. That's why we watch them. So we go, oh, well, my life's like that, not like that. I see myself in that character.
Yeah.
Or, that's why we like movies. And so it's totally right. So you're absolutely right. It'd be really annoying to come in and them to not be, for them to be broken up, and it wouldn't make sense. But of course they've broken up. He's a child. We've all had those relationships where you've been like, we're actually right for each other, but we're not at the same stage of maturity. So we're going to have to either sort that out, or this is not going to work.
Yeah.
And so you can see they still have affection for each other. So I love that. I love that storyline is there.
One character in Ghostbusters 2 that gets a little bit more time to shine is Winston. Now, Winston was supposed to have a much bigger part in the first one. He was actually supposed to be an ex-Air Force pilot, and he was going to be in a lot earlier and have a much, much bigger role, and it was supposed to be Eddie Murphy playing him, but Eddie Murphy turns it down. They get, what's his name? Ernie Hudson. I love Ernie Hudson. He's a great actor. And he was really excited. The night before they start shooting, he gets the new script with the role that's now been completely reduced to, as he was describing, he's like, it's fine, he has some good lines, but he's more or less just there in most of the film. And for him, he says, whilst I appreciate the love for the character and I appreciate what it did for my career, it's a love-hate relationship for him. He doesn't look at it as fondly as we look at it, which is quite sad, really.
If there's a steady paycheck in it, I'll believe anything you say.
The villains are very different to what we saw in the one before. You've got Janos, Peter McNichol, brilliant.
What a performance. Janos, you have just a bit of something in your hair. I love that. Every day I ask you, will you come for lunch with me? And every day you say, no, but is there something, do I have a bad breath or something? No. Just love him. But then the Carpathian.
Vigo
the Carpathian. And that first bit when his face extends out of the painting, it's just horrible.
Yeah.
Number 2 is more scary than number 1.
Apart from the opening library scene, that when I remember loving the Ghostbusters cartoons and finally getting a copy of Ghostbusters, and I was too young really to see that opening library scene.
Really terrifying.
And I was just like, oh, this is fun, oh my God, turn it off, I don't want to watch this anymore.
Yeah.
They didn't want to make Ghostbusters 2.
None of them?
No, they really didn't. They were pressured. Because after Ghostbusters 1, there was the cartoon, the real Ghostbusters, which I loved.
I loved that as a kid.
I loved that
I thought it was
cartoon.
great.
The original voice of Venkman in the cartoon was a guy called Lorenzo Music.
Lorenzo Music.
Great name.
Oh my gosh.
But the voice of Venkman, his name was Lorenzo Music, and he was also the same person that did the voice of the Garfield cartoons.
Oh.
And then Peter Venkman, Bill Murray, ends up doing the voice of the Garfield movies.
That is such a great Venn diagram.
They were pressured into it by the producers. So, like, we want to make money. The cartoon's really successful. Everyone loves the film. We want a sequel. No, I don't really want... The film was conclusive. Like, that's it. That's where we want to leave it. I think we're in the minority, sadly, in liking Ghostbusters 2, which is quite sad.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to be in that minority.
Yeah.
I'm happy to enjoy something rather than sneer at it.
Yes, for sure. And also, I think it's... I think you can tell that it's not a rushed sequel. So it might be an enforced one, but it's definitely something that's been written rather than hastily shoved together.
Well, it did come out 5 years after the original.
Yeah.
Let's talk Lady Ghostbusters.
So for me, it doesn't feel like Ghostbusters.
This is exactly what I said when I saw it.
So I really enjoyed it. I love their performances. I think they're hilarious.
I laughed a lot.
So it's not that it's lacking anything because it's women. It's just for me, it's like, well, if I want Ghostbusters, I want Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, dead, and Ernie Winston. I was about to say
Ernie Winston.
Ernie Winston. And say his name for me.
Ernie Hudson.
Thank you, Ernie Hudson. So that's who I want, and I want Rick Moranis in there somewhere. So for me, it doesn't feel like a Ghostbusters. It feels like a really great new ghost hunting thing.
It felt like it didn't need to be called Ghostbusters.
No,
it really didn't.
Also, they had quite a few moments of "You're my best friend, and I love you so much," and that just annoys me because yes, women are good at being friends. So are men, but we don't have to all the time say, by the way, you're my best friend and I love you and I'll never leave you. We don't say that very much. I mean, maybe I should. Maybe I'm a really bad woman.
This might be a very nitpicky thing, but I didn't like the colour palette.
Interesting.
Because it felt like a kid's film.
It was a lot brighter, wasn't it?
Yeah.
A lot more sort of punchy, I suppose.
It felt like, flubber, it had the bright greens and bright blues and all that. I loved the opening sequence, though, because that felt like a Ghostbusters movie. I mean, if you have a terrifying moment and then that music creep in, you got a Ghostbusters movie.
Yes.
But then it sort of descends into what I don't think Ghostbusters is, which is spoof territory.
The power of penny compels you!
I sort of find it frustrating when the lead female character is often, I'm not very strong yet, and then my friends will make me strong, rather than I'm a kick-ass, I just haven't found the right job yet.
Yeah.
Because that's what Ghostbusters is. It's like, oh, finally we found our calling. And then let's talk about the cameos, which are all kind of rubbish.
They are so bad. Bill Murray... The idea that he didn't want to come back as Venkman, but he was happy to do that was really, for me, like he was spitting in the faces of the fans.
Yeah, it really did. And it felt like he wasn't really there. He wasn't doing it. He wasn't committed to it. It looked like this is a guy forced to do something. Yeah. And then Dan Aykroyd's New York cabbie, what's the line he says at the end?
I am afraid no ghosts.
That's it. You're like, oh,
I did like Winston at the end, though.
that was great, yeah.
That was a great cameo. That was the only cameo that I liked. And then Sigourney Weaver popping up as the mentor.
I didn't notice that bit.
You
Wait.
must have switched it off at the credits, didn't you?
I did.
There's a scene during the
Is
credits.
there?
Yeah, there's a scene during the credits
Oh.
where the Kate McKinnon character, she's like working on something, and she's like, "Oh, by the way, this is my mentor, like her teacher," and it's Sigourney Weaver was the one who taught her. Yeah.
That's so great.
So you need to
I'm gonna
rewatch
go back and watch that. My $9.99 is well worth it.
Well, they were full on working on a Ghostbusters 3. It was called Hellbent. Kept on getting put back because Bill Murray was just not interested, and he always said, "Oh, I'll do it, but only if I'm a ghost." And it's like, well, no one wants to see you dead. They want
No.
to see you. It just annoys me that Bill Murray is the reason we never got the third Ghostbusters movie.
Bill Murray. If you're watching this, Bill Murray,
Which I'm sure he will be.
Bill Murray, sort it out.
Shame on you.
Shame on you, Bill Murray.
Okay, I think it's about time to give you a little quiz. Do you want to do a Ghostbusters quiz?
Yes, I do.
How many points do you reckon you'll get?
Maybe one. I'm not good at trivia because I love the films. I watch them. I'm not the sort of person who immediately then Googles stuff and then buys 7 books about it. I'm like this guy. I can quote most of it.
Okay.
That's about it.
I got no quotes here.
Great.
I got no quotes here. Question 1.
Yes.
You'll get a half a point for each of the nominations that the first Ghostbusters were nominated for in the Oscars.
Best screenwriting.
Nope.
Best picture. Best special effects.
I'll give you a half point for that, but you've given me 4. So visual effects, they did get it. So you got a half point, but the other one, it was nominated for Best Original Song.
Was it?
Yeah.
I don't think it's a great song.
And it's not
Is that
really an
competition?
original song either because they ripped it off.
Did they?
Did you not know about this?
Oh my God, tell me it.
Ray Parker Jr. was taken to court by Huey Lewis because if you listen to the song I Want a New Drug by Huey Lewis,
Is it the same?
it's identical. Who plays in Ghostbusters 2 the psychiatrist when the team gets committed?
I can see them in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Diane Keaton.
It's not a lady, it's a gentleman.
I can't see them in my head at all. I can't see them. It is, okay, it's a gentleman. I don't know. Who is it?
His name is Brian Doyle Murray.
Yeah, I wouldn't know that.
He's Bill Murray's brother.
Ah!
He played Bill Murray's dad in Scrooged
Okay.
as well.
One of the worst films ever. Sorry.
I love Scrooged.
It's really bad.
I love... Fuck you.
I'm really hurt.
Which actor turned down the role of Gozer?
Oh. It's interesting. It was a role.
It was. They had to... When they got the woman who did play Gozer, they redubbed it because her voice, her accent was so thick that they thought it was too comedic for
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they overdubbed her.
Was
but there
it-
was an actor, I'll give you a clue, it's a male actor
Oh.
that was supposed to play Gozer initially.
David Bowie.
I mean, not close, but I know where you're going with on that. But no, it was Paul Rubens.
I don't know who Paul Rubens is.
Pee Wee Herman.
Oh, really?
Yeah. This one you have options. For question 4, you have options.
Okay.
How much was the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man costume worth? Was it $10,000, $15,000 or $20,000?
I'm going to say 10,000.
No, $20,000. There were 3 of them and they all got destroyed while they were filming.
Wow.
I'd like you to spell Zool.
Oh. Z-U-O-L.
Unfortunately wrong, it's Z-U-U-L.
Ah! Done by a vowel.
There's a child that tells Ray at the start of Ghostbusters 2 that all the Ghostbusters are full of crap. Who was that child?
Oh my gosh, this is going to turn out to be someone amazing, isn't it? So they must now be about 38 or something. Oh. Is it Buzz from Home Alone?
It's not. I know what you mean, but it's not. It was actually, the kid was played by Jason Reitman,
Ah,
the son of Ivan,
yeah.
and who went on to direct Juno.
Really?
He directed Juno. Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Okay, it was thought that the theme song for Ghostbusters, the first one, was responsible for how much extra income at the box office. Was it 10, 20 or $30 million extra?
Extra? I'm going to say... I'm going to say 20.
20 is right. You get
Yes!
a point, 1.5 points. The American Film Institute in 2015 ranked the top 100 comedies. Where did Ghostbusters come? Was it 28th, 20th, or 12th?
Oh, probably like 28th, I'd say.
28th is correct. 2.5 points. There you go. Wilhelm von Homburg played Vigo
Yes.
in Ghostbusters 2. A year earlier, in 1988, he appeared as a henchman in what classic action film?
Oh, a classic action film. Die Hard?
Correct. He was one of Hans Gruber's...
Yes! But I don't even know this film.
3.5 points. We have 3.5 points. And see if you know this. Dana was Zool, the gatekeeper. Lewis Tully was the keymaster, but went by which name?
Oh, that's so annoying. Oh, I can see him. Zool. I'm the great master. I'm the gatekeeper.
He only really says it once in the film.
I want to say... I want to say like Luther or something. I don't know.
I know it's Vince Clortho.
Oh, he does say that, Vince
Yeah.
Clortho.
Vince Clortho.
Vince Clortho.
When he's got the colander on his head.
Yeah.
Okay, well, 3.5 points for you.
Pretty good.
3.5 points. You're not on the bottom.
Yay.
You're not at the top.
No.
Somewhere in between.
That's my life.
Was there any other films like last year that you particularly enjoyed, or you got any other particular favourite films that really tick your boxes?
I feel like we've got so many films that I haven't watched that
Yeah.
I'm still catching up with all the films from like 1910. so I've been watching. So I was on a plane recently. And I watched, I think, 5 different films. I watched Dr. Zhivago. What a great film! 3 hours long. Really good.
Passes the time on a flight.
Oh my gosh, it does. But in a
it was
enjoyable
good.
way. Well, not enjoyable. It's quite bleak. It's bleak, but it's really good. Hello Dolly, I watched. Don't watch that. Go on YouTube. Watch her singing Hello Dolly. Don't worry about the film. Michael Crawford is in that film, and he's got. He's obviously like, we're going to take you. You know, you're going to become a movie star, and he does the worst American accent you could ever imagine.
Would you say Michael Crawford's bad American accent is retribution for Dick Van Dyke's terrible British accent?
Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe it's one of the two. I love the musical the last 5 years with what's her face? You know, what Moni face from Pitch Perfect. Anna Kendrick. Kendrick. I play those characters you don't really care, but actually they really care. That would be my short impression of Anna Kendrick. I think Anna Kendrick is brilliant.
Yeah, she's
she does only get to play one particular role. I would watch anything she sings, except for Into the Woods, the movie. That was a complete abomination, should not have been made. Sorry, but I think Stephen Sondheim's, that was my favourite musical. They cut it to shreds. Meryl Streep, man, love her. She's not a singer. Give that part to someone who can sing.
What about James Corden? Do you like James Corden?
I fucking hate James Corden. Like I say, I've got lots of films I had to catch up on. I just watched Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves for the first time. I mean, that's what we're talking about.
Well, Kevin Costner and Alan Rickman.
And what was so funny was, so I'd never seen that, but I had my favourite childhood film, one of them, was Robin Hood Men in Tights, the Mel Brooks version.
Wow.
And so I'd only ever found it funny, like I thought that film. And then I watched Robin Hood, and I was like, oh, those jokes make way more sense. Have you seen this film? Oh, okay, yeah, I should have watched this before.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. Kevin Costner is awful. That's so awful. But Mike McShane is like, mwah.
Oh, he's great. He's really
so
good.
Brilliant. Alan Rickman is just, but like I say, I feel like I'm genuinely catching up.
You're catching up the last 20 years.
A lot of films that I never saw. Because I grew up watching old films, so carry-on films, and the Jolson story and things like that. And I used to love Jerry Lewis movies.
Yeah.
I love all that stuff. So that's what I watched when I was a kid. So it feels like I'm now watching the films I should have been watching in my teenage years. And then when I'm in my sort of 50s, I'll watch the films that you want me to be talking about right now.
Thank you very much for joining me.
Thanks, Matt Blair. This has been a delight.
Oh, well, it's been a delight having you. I hope you've enjoyed your wine.
May I say what a delicious organic Malbec this is.
Is there anything you would like to plug while you're here?
Come follow me on Twitter, at I am Pippa Evans. And I'm in a show called Showstopper, the Improvised Musical, where we literally create musicals from scratch and we're in the West End and touring all the time. So if you want to come and see a show, come and see that because it's brilliant.
There'll be stuff in the description below.
It'll be down there.
It'll be down there, which will be... Do you have Instagram as well?
I do have Instagram, but I couldn't tell you what my account is. Probably I am Pippa Evans because that's how imaginative I am.
will find it and then I'll put the link in the description below. How's that for you?
Thank you, Matt Blair.
And then you've got your website, which is pippaevans.co.uk.
Thank you. Why don't you just do all of it for me? Because you seem to know you seem to know a lot of my details.
But thanks for joining us. This has been Popcorn and Wine. I've been Matt Blair. That's been Pippa Evans. We'll see you next time. Bye. Thanks again to Pippa Evans for joining us today on Popcorn and Wine. Please find all of her social media links in the description below and make sure you do check out Showstopper, an improvised musical. It is a lot of fun. You can find all of my social media links as well in the description below. Please make sure you check out Rayguns Look Real Enough, a double act that I'm a part of. We're gigging up and down the country. Check out our website. You can find the gig listings there. And also, please check out the Distraction Club. It's a monthly musical comedy night that I'm involved in. The next show is on March the 6th. It's with my dad, who's going to be headlining, and I'm going to be embarrassed, aren't I? Thanks again for watching Popcorn and Wine. Please subscribe to the channel. Please donate to the coffee link. My name's Matt Blair. We'll see you next time.